Tetris, an absolute behemoth in the video games industry. I mean, it was the original block game, but how did such a simple game become one of the biggest video games of all time? It all started in 1984 in the USSR. An engineer by the name of Alexei Pajitnov may live in a country where food shortages are the norm, but that won't stop him from creating one of the most recognizable games in history, Tetris. Anyway, it was a game where you placed blocks called tetrominos. Basically, they're shapes made out of 4 squares into lines by moving and arranging how the shapes descended onto the playing field. Once full lines were completed, points would be added to your score, and this kept on going until you failed. Though the game didn't really blow up until the release of the Game Boy, Tetris was one of the games for the system, and it was a pack-in title at launch. Now you may be asking, where did your Tetris journey start? Listen, I'm a pretty young guy. I was born in the early 2000s, so I don't really have any nostalgia for this sort of stuff. No, my Tetris journey started on this. It all started in September of last year. I had just started school and would be waiting afterwards for my mom to pick me up. Though I had one problem, boredom. I didn't have any friends who would be there at that time, and I didn't have any Wi-Fi either, so I resorted to downloading mobile games. I tried a bunch of them, but the problem was that most of them were either crap, subject to payment, or required Wi-Fi. Then, for some odd reason, I decided to get Tetris. I don't really know why. Maybe it was because I knew it was one of my dad's favorite games to play when he was young. Or maybe it was due to the fact that I knew it was a best-selling game. Either way, I downloaded the mobile version of the game and started playing. I had tried to get into arcade games before, though I didn't really get the appeal. But this was different. Whenever I was waiting without anything to do, I'd just play Tetris. I'd play and play and play, and after a while I thought I was pretty good at it. I'd beat my friends. Granted, most of them wouldn't pour the time I did into the game, though eventually they started to enjoy the game too. We ended up playing Tetris against each other pretty frequently on Tetris.io, and we'd have a blast. Though eventually summer came, and my adventures in Tetris started to dwindle in number. It had been about 6 months since I last played Tetris, and school was starting once again. I saw a guy playing Tetris on his laptop, and feeling pretty confident in myself, I challenged him, and he absolutely wrecked me. Every move, every skill, every tactic I tried were of no use. John was his name. I resented John. He broke the illusion that I was some top-shot Tetris player. Though, at the same time, this defeat reignited my passion for the game. Then, one day, I was bored out of my mind studying for exams, when suddenly, I don't know why, I just started hearing the Tetris tune in my head. It had always intrigued me, as it was quite a catchy motif, and from a quick Google search, I found out that it was actually based on a Russian folk song from the 19th century. I craved listening to it, and I looked it up on YouTube and came across a number of covers. I clicked on the one by Trifantasy trio, and whilst watching it, apart from admiring the group's musical prowess, I just couldn't help but realize the absurdity of this game, full of contradictions and irony. How ironic is it that a game that started in the USSR, a beacon of communism, became one of the best-selling games of all time, acquired by one of the most money-hungry companies? What were the odds of this game being packaged to literally one of the best-selling consoles of all time? And how absurd is it that such a simple game could adapt and compete with all the much more complex competition? I don't have an answer for all of these questions, but what I do know is that Tetris, like some sort of folktale that transcends generations, will continue to live on, and will always have a special place in my heart.